High five. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the announcement of a brand new season, or more the second announcement of a brand new season. Very exciting times, very exciting times. A new era for Crest Autosport, a new era for Sim Rally, I hope so. But welcome along, everyone. Huge views already on the stream, a lot of comments already. And just a quick mention, I mentioned it in the comments, if you hear a high five noise in the background or something like that, that's what happens when we get a new follow on the channel, and I haven't disabled it. So if you hear that, it's not a joke. It's honestly, it's something that happens on the channel. All right. But yeah, that's the housekeeping over and done with. Yeah, thanks very much, guys. A lot of new follows today and yesterday for the announcement today. So what exactly are we going to be discussing today? We're obviously going to tell you all you drivers, presuming you're all drivers of the series anyway, going to be telling you what car you're going to be driving and therefore what driver you'll be representing. That's the premise now for these new seasons that we're hosting, is you, the drivers, will represent real-life drivers.
High five.
There it is. We've got a brand new follow. Thank you very much, whoever that was. Okay, so we'll get into the nitty-gritty of it. Let's just have a little bit of a reminder of what the season ahead entails. So Season 1 is going to be a sort of replication of the 1997 to 2003 WRC era, and we've also plugged in some British Rally Championship nostalgia as well. So it's going to feature WRC cars from between 1997 and 2003. We'll go through those manufacturers just to remind you what they are later on. And, of course, the F2 kit cars, where most of them are used in the season. 13-round calendar, and it's going to be starting in 10 days' time. And that will be at Monte Carlo. Of course, it's probably the more popular locations and rallies that you'd associate with that era of rallying. And, of course, there are certain rallies that are not in the game, so we'll be using alternative locations in the game for that. For example, Argentina, we're going to use Mexico. San Remo, we're going to use Japan. Australia, we're going to use Sardinia. And Great Britain, we're going to use Chile. But all the others are out the box, out of the game. A lot of new features can be brought into this season. Now, if you took part in the World Sim Rally Championship last season, and even previous seasons, you'll half know the way we've run championships in the past. It's going to be a little bit different, like some new features that we brought in. One of them is we're going to simulate roadside repairs, which basically means there's going to be more short services where you'll be able to repair your cars. And with that, we're going to use hardcore damage a bit more. And we're going to do that on some rallies to kind of escalate the difficulty of the rallies that are notoriously difficult in real life. We're also going to simulate road sweeping as well. And how we're going to do that is applying time handicaps to drivers within the rallies. There's another follow. Thank you very much. Yep, so that's more of the housekeeping over and done with. So we'll move on from there. You can tell I've rehearsed this, can't you? Yeah, so as we mentioned, that's what the Sim Rally Masters is going to be all about. It's about nostalgia. It's about replicating historic rallying. We're not sure what we're going to do in future seasons just yet. We've got a lot of ideas, but generally what we're going to try and do is look at WRC, look at European Rally Championship, look at the British Rally Championship, look at all eras. We're going to try and cover as much as we can, really, over the coming seasons. Okay, so just a reminder of the cars that are available in this season. There are only certain cars within the WRC 97 to 2011 category that are used in this season, and I'm sure you guys should be aware of what these are already. And yeah, sorry, just reading a comment. Yeah, so only the cars from that era in the category on the game will be used. So, for example, we've got the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo is going to be used, as well as the Peugeot 206, the Subaru Impreza 2001, the Ford Focus 2001, the Citroen Xara, and the Subaru Impreza 98, and the Seat Cordoba. And of course, we're using the kit cars as well. The only ones we're not really going to use is the Peugeot. We're going to use 5 of them, including the Seat Ibiza, Renault Megane, Volkswagen Golf, Vauxhall Astra, and the Ford Escort. So they're the cars that are available, and in the WRC cars, within each category anyway, there's going to be 3 drivers per manufacturer in WRC, and there's 2 drivers per kit car in the BRC. Okay. And of course, we mentioned categories just then. We were debating 5 categories, and basically these are skill categories. We were debating 5, but the way we had the turnout, it made more sense to have 4 categories. So, yeah, they are CA1, CA2, CA3, and CA4, similar to what we've done in the past with the World Sim Rally Championship. There will be 21 WRC, up to 21 WRC drivers, and up to 10 kit car drivers per one. Excuse me. And the way we've done the categories, and the way we always do the categories in Crest Autosport, is generally the top quartile of the drivers competing will go into the CA1 category, and the lesser experienced lower quartile of the drivers will go into CA4. It's not strictly quartile. It is generally when you're in those regions. So that's how we've done the categories for this season coming up. Another follow. Thank you very much. I wish I'd disabled that before we started this, but never mind, we're stuck with it now. Yes, and part of the nostalgia feeling for this championship is... Thank you very much. We're getting so many follows. And I think we've just hit 260, so thank you very much. I've lost where I am now. Right, yeah, part of the nostalgia for this championship, crying out loud. Part of the nostalgia for this championship is that we'll be using replica liveries from that era of WRC that are installed into your game, if you are a PC driver, that is. But if you're on a console, if you are a console driver, then you'll use a specific driver / livery within the game that applies to the driver that you're representing. So PC drivers, it's in the rulebook. It's also on Discord. You'll be given instructions on how to install the liveries, and you must install the livery that's assigned to you via the real-life driver. And console drivers, you'll have a specific livery in the game to use. I mean, it's not a rule to use these liveries, but it's in keeping with the spirit of the championship. Plus, they're really cool liveries made by some very talented people. One of them, called Mengodrium, is competing in the championship, so celebrity driver, I guess. So a huge thanks to Mengodrium, who's competing in the kit car category by choice. So yeah, he's provided 75% of the liveries in this championship, so thank you to him. Me and Marco have put certain liveries available in Discord for the drivers. If you find other liveries that are similar on the same car, but they might be from a different year, you can use them if you want to. We've just put what we think are the best ones, and we try to align them across the drivers. If you do find another livery, for example, if you want to use the 2002 livery of Colin McRae, if you are Colin McRae, that is, if you want to use the 2002 one instead of 2001, we're not that precious about that. Just as long as you kind of follow the spirit of the championship, really. Okay, so just going to remind you all of the drivers that are available to represent in the championship. Don't worry, guys, we're not far away from telling you what you're driving. Don't worry about that. We're not far. So, yeah, just a reminder of the drivers, the 21 drivers from WRC. They are Tommy Mäkinen, Marcus Grönholm in the Peugeot 206, Richard Burns in the Subaru Impreza 2001, and these are the liveries that we've put on the cars as well. Colin McRae in the Ford Focus, Carlos Sainz in the Ford Focus, Sebastian Loeb in the Citroën Azara, Petter Solberg in the Subaru Impreza 2001, Juha Kankkunen in the Impreza 98, Didier Auriol in the Seat Cordoba, Gilles Panizzi in the Peugeot 206, Harry Rovanperä in the Seat Cordoba, Marco Martin in the Ford Focus, Piero Liatti in the Subaru Impreza 98, Francois Delacour in the Peugeot 206, Philippe Bugowski in the Citroën Xara, Freddie Loix in the Mitsubishi Lancer, also in the Lancer, Thomas Rodstrom, Jesus Perras in the Citroën Xara, Armin Schwartz in the Subaru Impreza painted as a Hyundai accent, Tony Gardemeister in the Seat Cordoba, and Bruno Thierry in the Subaru Impreza 98. So there we go on the screening text, just to remind you. So the way these are sorted, now we described that in a previous live stream, and it's partially explained in the rulebook as well, just in case you wanted to know. Basically, we ranked these guys based on how good they were within that era of WRC, i.e. how many championships they won, how many rallies they won, how many podiums they scored, how many points finishing positions they were in. And we sorted them based on a kind of point system that put the best to the top. But I think it's a pretty fair rank, actually, for these drivers. Another follow. Thank you very much. 261. There we go. So that's the WRC cars. And the kit cars, there's 10 of them, as we mentioned. Gwyndaf Evans is the first in the Seat Ibiza. Martin Rowe in the Renault Megane. Alistair McRae in the Volkswagen Golf. Mark Higgins in the Volkswagen Golf. Tapio Laukkanen in the Renault Megane. Jarmo Kaitalato in the Vauxhall Astra. Neil Werden in the Vauxhall Astra. Julian Porter, now a pundit for WRC, in the Ford Escort. Stephanie Simonite in the Ford Escort. And Barbara Armstrong in the Seat Ibiza. So they had a similar treatment to the WRC drivers, albeit there's a bit less data to go off, but they were sorted in terms of how many wins, how many championships, podiums, etc., etc. Okay. So I think without further ado, we can get started. So we're going to go in order of what we just showed to you. So we're going to start at the top with Tommy Mäkinen, and we're going to work our way down. Per driver that we introduce, we're going to tell you the 4 drivers that are going to be representing the driver within each category. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, we're going to start, as we mentioned, I've gone nervous all of a sudden. We're going to start with Tommi Mäkinen in the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo. So these were top-ranked drivers that fell within each category. So, okay, let me just turn off auto switch there. So in the Mitsubishi Lancer, Tommi Mäkinen is going to be in CA1. Mario Viceno. CA2 is going to be Quinton Vizela. CA3 is going to be Fraser Taylor. And in CA4 is Samuel Inebro. Moving on to Marcus Grönholm in the Peugeot 206. Rank number 2 of the field, Daniel Svagoshin will be in CA1. Kari Valjaka will represent Marcus Grönholm in CA2. CA3 will be represented by Denis Zukov. And CA4, Jukka Mikkonen. Representing Richard Burns in the Subaru Impreza 2001, Aaron Morales in CA1. In CA2 is going to be Jordan Harding. In CA3 is going to be Kaylin Trina. And in CA4 is going to be Ondrej Jabrocki. Representing Colin McRae in the Ford Focus. In CA1 is going to be Rasmus Tammet. In CA2 is going to be Duarte Goncalves. In CA3 is going to be Domenico Cucuglielli. Apologies if I pronounce any of these names wrong, by the way. And CA4 is going to be Gavin Dobbins. Representing Carlos Sainz in the Ford Focus. In CA1 is going to be Victor Bistrick. In CA2 is going to be Argo Tamayogi. In CA3 is going to be Rickard Persson. And CA4 will be Danny O'Keefe. Feel free to celebrate in the comments or vent your frustration. Please, no frustration, please. It's done fairly on rankings and ratings and that sort of thing. Representing Sebastian Loeb in the Citroën Xara is going to be Sime Podra of CA1. In CA2 is going to be Mike Etef. In CA3 is going to be João Sousa. And Mikhail Zioev is going to be representing Sebastian Loeb in CA4. Petter Solberg in the Subaru Impreza 2001 is going to be represented by Adri Miguel, Damian Daniel in CA2, Marco Sastamoinen in CA3, and Lucas Avcentio in CA4. Representing Juha Kankinen in the Subaru Impreza 1998. Dennis Hernholt, last season multiple historic Sim Rally Championship winner. In CA2 will be Henrik Vengrud. In CA3 will be Alexander Gabowski. And in CA4 will be Anton Petrov. Representing Didier Auriol in the Seat Cordoba. And I was told how to pronounce this name earlier and I forgot. In CA1 is F.A. Gitoshi, I think. I think so. Apologies. I know you told me earlier, FA, but... in CA2 is going to be Francesco Cortigiani. In CA3 is Rodrigo Portugal. And Evgeny Sinatov will represent in the CA4 category. Representing Gilles Panizzi in the Peugeot 206. In CA1 is going to be Daniel Gustafsson. In CA2 will be Robbie Hendrickson. In CA3 will be Danilin Ivan. And in CA4 will be Mikko Poikela. Representing Harry Rovanperä in the Seat Cordoba will be Alan Winterborn in the CA1 category. In CA2 will be Vaher Hema. In CA3 will be Dmitry Koptilov. And in CA4 will be Christopher Burasin. Nearing halfway through. Actually, we are halfway through the WRC cars now. So into the second half now. Representing Marco Martin in the Ford Focus will be Antonio Sousa, Gabor Angel, Christophe de Vada, Again, sorry if that's wrong. And in CA4 will be Richard Stewart. Representing Piero Liatti in the Subaru Impreza 1998 will be Bradley Hogan, a winner of our recent RAC rally in the H2 category. In CA2 will be George Buckley. In CA3 will be Daniel Elliott. And CA4 will be Carlos Andrade. Representing Francois Delacour in the Peugeot 206 will be Matthias Janti, Eric Toth in CA2, Simon Yovi in CA3, and Ivan Tischenko in CA4. Representing Philippe Bogowski in the Citroën Xara, me in CA1. In CA2 will be Miguel Santos. In CA3 will be Matthew Swanson. And in CA4 will be Simply P.
High five.
High five. Yep, I'm glad you liked that one. New follow. Thank you very much. Representing Freddie Loix in the Mitsubishi Lancer will be Sami Kokaro in CA1. In CA2 will be Steph Hannes. In CA3 will be Kristaps Skrideris. And in CA4 will be Cole Stevenson. Also in the Mitsubishi Lancer, but representing Thomas Rodstrom, will be Thomas Billman in CA1. In CA2 will be Alex Parsons. In CA3 will be Yanis Pano. And in CA4 will be Craig Curry. Representing Jesus Perras in the Citroën Xara, Peter Gordon of CA1. In CA2 will be Mikhail Manzula. In CA3 will be Keith Chalmers. And the same name. I gotta pronounce this. In CA4 will be Anthony Gitshoshi. Sorry. Okay. Last three of WRC, representing Armin Schwartz in the Hyundai Accent Subaru Impreza will be Pedro Luis da Silva, last season's CA2 World Sim Rally Championship champion. CA2 will be Kev Wilkins. CA3 will be Marios Olympios. And in CA4 will be Yanis Dimitropoulos. Representing Tony Gardemeister in the Seat Cordoba will be João Mendes in the CA1 category. Richard Balog in the CA2 category. In CA3 will be Ilkka Kinnunen. And in CA4 will be Joe Goosens. Bruno Thierry in the Subaru Impreza 1998 and the last seeded car driver of the WRC category. In CA1 will be driven by Linus Jarmir. In CA2 will be driven by Tommy Nuvenen. In CA3 will be driven by Thibaut Guertin. And Chris Lemonis will drive in CA4. So that's the WRC category over and done with. And just to mention, guys, just two things to mention. As soon as the live stream's over, I will be publishing all these rankings and your driver allocations onto our website. I'll also post them on the Facebook group. I'll also be putting them on Discord. So you have access to these graphics, and also you can see it on the entry list and that sort of thing. I'll do that as soon as the stream is over. And the second thing to mention is, I'll explain more about it later on, but you guys will have the opportunity throughout the next week to trade seats with other drivers should you wish to. There's a few rules around that, but we'll explain that later. But if you want to negotiate a trade with other drivers in the next week, you have the opportunity to for the next couple of days. Okay, so we're going to move on to kit car now. There's 10 of them. And it's worth mentioning at this point there are some drivers that did want to go in WRC, but the way the ranking system has worked, it has had to push some drivers down into kit car. We did say in the rules that that could happen, and if that has happened to you, It's one of those things where we've got to try and get you up to the top category in the future seasons. That's what we highlighted from the very word go. We did. But let's just go through them. First of all, representing Gwyndaf Evans in the Seat Ibiza. Jan Trassa will represent Gwyndaf in CA1. In CA2 will be Daniel Miklovic. In CA3 will be Lee Harding. And Reef Kerma will represent in CA4. Representing Martin Rowe in the Renault Maxi Megane will be, in CA1, Stephen Bailey. In CA2 will be Geli Kirali. In CA3 will be Juanan Fernandez. And in CA4 will be Mark Wilson. Representing Alistair McRae in the Volkswagen Golf. In CA1 will be Radek Borak. In CA2 will be Sam Firsov. And CA3 will be Alexander Salamatov. And in CA4 will be Brian Patterson. Representing Mark Higgins in the Volkswagen Golf will be no drivers in CA1 and CA2, but in CA3 will be Marcin Kaminski, and in CA4 will be Klaus Schwantes. Representing Tapio Laukkanen in the Renault Maxi Megane will be, again, no drivers in CA1 and CA2, but in CA3 will be Drew Buxton, and in CA4 will be Alan McCain. Representing Jarmo Kaitalato in the Vauxhall Astra will be Eduardo Martin in CA1. CA2 will be Carlos Alia. In CA3 will be Ruben Barker-Jones. And in CA4 will be Fabio Giordano. Representing Neil Werden in the Volkswagen Astra. Sorry, Vauxhall Astra. High five. Yeah, high five for the mistake. Thanks for the follow, guys. Thank you for the follow. Right. Neil Werden in the Vauxhall Astra. There we go. Get that right this time. Can't believe I said Volkswagen. No drivers in CA1 and CA2, but in CA3 will be Mikael Valkonen, and CA4 will be Kirati Neugaard. Representing Julian Porter in the Ford Escort. No drivers in CA1 and CA2, but in CA3 will be Dennis Pershin, and in CA4 will be Tal Bronstein. Representing Stephanie Simonite in the Ford Escort will be Natalie Johnson in CA1. In CA2 will be Olli-Pekka Tikkanen, sorry. And CA3 will be Aidan Fiesel. And Wim Francis will be in CA4. And last but definitely not least, representing Barbara Armstrong in the Seat Ibiza kit car. No drivers in CA1, no drivers in CA2, but Sam James will represent in CA3 and Eunice Heinleit in CA4. So there we go, guys. We're going to flip through it there, so you can go back through them. It's going a bit quickly, but it'll loop back through. Yep, so let me just count how many drivers we had through. 114 drivers were eligible for seats via doing the right amount of stages in qualifiers. If your name hasn't appeared in this list, it's simply because you haven't done enough stages in the qualifiers, or you haven't done any stages, or you haven't signed up. One or the other, or the three. But we've managed to get all drivers in that did do the qualifiers, the minimum requirement of 3 stages plus. Like I said, I'm going to publish these pictures onto Discord, the Facebook group, and the website. Later on, you can also see the entry list on the website once we get off the stream here. But I did mention just a moment ago that over the next week, you guys will be allowed to negotiate trades with other drivers. There are a couple of ground rules behind that, so we'll move on from this, and we'll have a Q&A later, and I'll put that back on the screen. But basically, trades within the championship. So from now, you can negotiate a trade with another driver, and that will last until the 5th of January at 6th of January midnight, basically. Yeah, so basically, if you put in a trade request after then, it's not going to happen, basically, because we'll be heading into the new season the following week. It's down to you as the driver to negotiate the trade with the driver. Now, you've got to get in touch with that driver either via Facebook Messenger or via Discord. If you have trouble finding a driver that you want to get in touch with, you can message us, the admins, myself or Marco, and we'll help you get in touch with the driver if you want to discuss a trade with them. But the couple of ground rules around trading is you can only trade with drivers that are in the same skill category as you. So if you are a CA1 driver, you can only trade with drivers in CA1. Okay? We'll get to questions in just a moment, guys. I see there's a few in the chat, but we'll get to that in just a moment. I'll just finish off the trade rules here. And with the rule we just mentioned, there's a couple of ground rules around this because we have purposely put console drivers in WRC anyway into cars where the livery in the game is applicable to the driver. And you can see them there. But basically, some of the rules are, in WRC, PC drivers can only trade with drivers that are 1 to 3 ranks above or below them. So let's just put me, for example. I'm representing Philippe Bogowski. The 3 drivers above me are Francois Delacour, Piero Leati, and Marco Martin. I can only negotiate trades with them 3 above or below. I could negotiate a trade to get Freddie Loik's seat, Thomas Radstrom, or Jesus Perez. So 3 above, 3 below. That's the limit for WRC PC drivers. But console drivers will only be allowed to trade with other console drivers in their category. So recommend you use the entry list to see who's in PlayStation and Xbox, basically. And if, say, a PC driver and a console driver want to trade, you can only trade if the seat is eligible for the console driver. Okay, there'll be more visuals available on Discord and Facebook group to help that if needs be. But just to help out a little bit, there are 6 WRC seats that are eligible for console drivers, and they are Richard Burns, Colin McRae, Petter Solberg, Marco Martin, Freddie Loix, and Tony Gardemeister. They're the only cars in WRC that the console drivers can drive, and that's down to liveries, basically. And in kit car, you can trade with anyone you want within the category because we're a little less stretched on the liveries. It's a little bit more free flow in the kit cars, but you can only trade with drivers that are 1 to 2 ranks above or below you. So, for example, if you're representing Alistair McRae, you can trade with the driver who's in Martin Rowe or Gwyndaf Evans' seat, or below, Mark Higgins, Tapio Laakkonen. Again, there'll be visuals to help you with that, published later on. So that's the rules around trades. There was a question in the chat here. Apologies if I've missed any questions. I'll put this back on the screen so you can see. Is there a Constructors' Championship? Yes, there is. Okay, so it is in the rules book as well. If you, well, of course, I expect you guys to read it before the season starts, but just to explain about Constructors' Championship is a valid question. Yes. All drivers that are in the same car will contribute points to the championship. And that's going to be across all categories. So every driver that drives a Ford Focus will contribute to the points for the Ford Focus manufacturer. That's across all categories. So it's going to be a large point sum for each team. But basically, there's a Mitsubishi Lancer manufacturer, Peugeot 206, Subaru Impreza 2001, Ford Focus, Citroen Xara, Subaru Impreza 98, and Seat Cordoba. And it's going to be the same with kit cars. They're going to be involved in the same championship as well. Seat Ibiza, Renault Megane, Vauxhall Astra, Volkswagen Golf, and the Ford Escort. Okay. Yeah, kit cars will have their own exclusive manufacturers championship as well, but they'll also be put in the mix with the WRC as well. But they'll get 2 to basically fight for. Yes, Lee, you're going to have to brush up on your Welsh if you're going to represent Gwyndaf Evans. Da iawn. No more questions. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I think it's a followers-only chat, so you'll have to get a crisp high five off Borat to comment into the chat. But yeah, that's the main bulk of it, really. 114 drivers. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And just a quick mention, I put something on my Facebook just a moment ago. So a huge thank you to everyone that supported the channel this year. This channel is in the top 10% of all channels that broadcast and live stream EA Sports WRC related content. That's amazing. I did not expect that this year. I really didn't. So thank you very much to all of you drivers and all of you guys supporting the channel, and myself and Crest Autosport. Thank you so much.
High five.
There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was great timing. I can't see who followed. Apologies, but thank you very much, whoever that was. I'm just going to share something else on the screen now, which is the rules document. This is available. This is available on our website. If you go to crestautosport.com, in the drop down for Sim Rally Masters, there's About the Series plus rules. Highly suggest you read this rules document front to back. I know there's a lot of pages, but front to back before you start the season. The last thing you want to do is get yourself a penalty for any reason for doing something wrong, okay? So read the rules and get yourself, used to them. And if you guys want to ask any questions about them, or just need some clarity around anything, or you need help translating anything, just message us. We'll be happy to answer. As long as you guys understand the rules of this championship, we're happy, Yep, there's quite a lot to read through. The main thing I would like people to go through is the gentleman's agreement. I'm not going to read through it now, but essentially, we got a new gentleman's agreement, which are not rules strictly, but it's code of conduct really for competing in our series. Not gaining a unfair advantage on other drivers and that sort of thing. It's worth reading and just making sure that you're in alignment with that, essentially. Plenty about the series. A lot of stuff that I've read through or read out already tonight that just explains how the categories and the classes work. I mentioned earlier about roadside repairs and road sweeping. It explains it in full in here. There's also instructions on how to install the liveries. Lots of people online helping with this as well. But pretty good instructions on how to do this. Question in the chat: we are obligated to use a street livery and stream. Right. So as I mentioned earlier on, the liveries are not mandatory, but in keeping with the spirit of the championship, it would be nice if you used them. However, if you are on console, you got to use an in-game livery. Of course you do. But it's just in keeping with the spirit of the championship, and the liveries look cool, and also it helps promote the creators of the livery as well. They've worked hard on making those liveries. They all look really good, so it helps them by you downloading those liveries and using them. It helps them as creators. And the other question is streaming. Streaming is not mandatory. No, there's some drivers that do it, and there's some drivers that don't. There's some drivers who can't stream, to be honest, because their computers or internet might not be as good. It's very helpful if you stream, though, because it means if you have a disconnection, if you have a disconnection, it means we can go back and see what your stage time was, and we can reinstate it into the results. It's also good to engage with everyone. I mean, we've gained nearly 100 followers this year from live streaming our rallies. That could be you. You could do even better than us. Who knows? It's really good for yourselves. It might not be your cup of tea to stream. It might not be, but it's a really good thing to do. Trust me. I've taken up streaming to a whole new level this year and a whole new seriousness this year. So I certainly do recommend that. Dennis, drop rounds. Yes, this is a new rule that's added very recently, and it's because we've had drivers have concerns about missing some rounds. But basically, we're applying a drop round to the 13 rounds. So essentially, of the 13 rounds, one of them is going to be, in your championship tally, is going to be reverted to 0. So 12 of the 13 rounds are going to count towards your championship tally. And the reason we've done that is to allow drivers, to go on holidays or take absences for whatever reason. It just relaxes the drivers a little bit. I'm going to be doing every single round, but some drivers can't, you know. Life happens, doesn't it? Alex is confident there. CA3 champion POV. You know what? Come message me if and when you do it, alright? Great stuff. Yep, as I mentioned, you can go to crestautosport.com and you can look at this rules document. I highly recommend you do read it, and I highly recommend if you are unsure about anything in there, you come to me or you come to Marco, you send us a message, and you just ask for some clarity or explanation around the rules. But, wow, lots of views on the stream. Wow, if I'd known that at the start, I'd been more nervous, but, okay. Any more questions, guys? Fire them in the chat. Otherwise, we might make a disappearing act very, very soon. But the season starts very, very soon. 9th of January starts the first round. You're all in the clubs already. No need to join any new ones. They are the ones that you will use. And we'll be putting up a practice rally this week. No idea where it's going to be, but we're going to put up a practice rally this week so you guys can get started and get used to your new cars, I suppose. Practice with the new liveries, of course. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be putting like who's in what livery. I'll be putting that on Discord, on the website, on the Facebook group. I'll be doing that tonight just to help you guys out. Yeah, here we go. Brand new era of Sim Rally about to start. I'm really, really excited for this season. I'm a little bit gutted that I'm in the Citroen Xara because that was the last car I wanted. Maybe I'll negotiate a trade. Who knows? Who knows? But, yeah. I'll be representing Philippe Bogalski, which... quite nice, actually, because Philippe's no longer with us, actually, and he was quite the hero, actually, when he won his 2 rallies in 1999, albeit he was in a kit car, actually, at the time, but he drove fantastic in those 2 rallies, so I like tarmac, so hopefully I can replicate that. And Spain's one of my favourite rallies as well, so that would be quite interesting as well. Yeah, we've had that rule in the past, Reef. Yeah, where the leaders of only stream. We've done that in the past, we have. However, through learning, it can be difficult for drivers to achieve that, you know, with difficult internet providers and machines that are not quite up to scratch, particularly as we've moved on to a more demanding game. I understand what you're saying there, but it's just difficult to implement that sometimes. But I understand your feelings there, yeah. Right, okay. I think we're going to call it a night there, then, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for watching tonight, tuning in. Thank you to all the followers. Let me just count quickly how many followers we've had tonight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 new follows tonight. Wow. I set myself the target to get this channel up to 500 by the end of 2025, so here we go. Hugely appreciate it, guys. How many have unfollowed us since finding out what car they're in, actually? That's something to consider. But, yeah. Trades are now on. If you want to go trade with some of the drivers, get in touch with them, or get in touch with us, and we can put you in touch with them drivers. Yeah, thank you very much for watching tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're going to enjoy the season. In fact, I know you're going to enjoy the season. It's going to be true WRC nostalgia. Thank you very much, guys. We'll catch you in the new season. Good night.